So, how do you move on from a breakup? Hello, my name is Julie and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome aboard to your healing journey. How do you move on from a breakup? Because I'll tell you something, a lot of us have asked that question and I have got it down to a T. First three stages we're going to discuss, they're known as the emotional avoidance stages. Because during these three stages, you're not facing the pain and the grief of losing that person. You're trying to avoid it. In your mind, your brain is still processing what you went through and trying to process the pain, which can look different according to different people, and we'll discuss that. However, you're still trying to process what the hell has happened. And those three stages can take days, weeks, or even months. Personally, I feel like the closer that person was to you, the longer it will take. Here's another thing you need to put in mind. The first three stages, it's important that you maintain no contact if you want that person out of your life. Because that's often when we tend to break no contact. Since again, we're avoiding the pain. And if we break no contact and go back to that person, then we don't need to deal with the pain anymore because, now we're back with them. So let's begin with the first stage, denial. It's not that you don't know what you've been through. You do know what just happened. You broke up with that person or they broke up with you, but it's your brain trying to avoid dealing with what the hell just happened, whether you left or they left. So in your head, you're still trying to process what just happened. Did this person just leave my life? How is my life going to look like? Wait, what? Now, denial can look different to different people, and that's important to put in mind, and it can last us days, weeks, or even months. How can it look different? First of all, it can look like you're crying. You call your friends, and you're like, oh my God, they broke up with me. Why did they break up with me? What happened? What was going wrong? I can't believe this. I don't have my closure. It's you crying and ranting and trying to process it. Or, and this is very common with men that I often see, it looks normal. You can see like they're living their lives and they're going out and they're going to new places and they're with their friends. And you're like, did they move on? Like, did they just not care about their relationship? Well, most probably no. They're just in denial. They're not yet processing or even thinking of the emotions. They're just like, okay, let's avoid the emotion. Something happened. Let's just act like nothing's wrong. And that's how it can look like as well. But often after you pass through denial and finally you're like, oh shit, we broke up. Now you enter anger because now you're angry at them. Like, how could they do this to me? Or how could they treat me this way? Again, whether you left or someone left you, it's anger. Whether you're feeling that anger towards them, why did they leave me? Or whether you feel that anger towards them, I can't believe they treated me this bad and that's why I left them. And again, anger can look different to certain people. I remember my anger stage, I was in the club. I was dancing. I was just living my life. I was angry, but still, I was just like allowing myself to live life. I was angry that I missed a portion of my life being with them. Here's another way anger can look like. It can look like rage. You want to scream. You want to be aggressive. It can look like you're calling your friends and you're telling them, I can't believe they did this to me. Yes. And then also it can look, again, you going out normally just like I was, because there are different ways to express anger. And after anger, you go through the bargaining stage. And this is where it gets kind of dangerous, which is why no contact is very important, because a lot of us tend to go back to people during the bargaining stage. Because that's the stage when, again, it's the stage before you deal with the pain and the grief. So you still haven't processed the pain, but you're almost going to do that. So in your head, you're like, please no, please no, please no, please no. You're pleading. And that's how bargaining can look like. So again, for some people, it can look like, again, you're crying, you're feeling bad. What if it didn't happen that way? What if they changed? What if we try to work on the relationship? That's one way of pleading. And another way of pleading is texting your ex, hey, I miss you. That's bargaining. That's you trying to get back in the relationship. Because if you're back in the relationship, you don't need to process the pain of losing the relationship. Or it can look like stalking your ex, which is why I always recommend blocking. Because again, when you're stalking your ex, you're putting yourself in their energy and you're seeing what they're doing, and you're telling yourself all these thoughts like, oh, they're happy. Oh, look at them. They changed. And you might end up talking to them. Or if you don't end up talking to them, then you're hoping that they talk to you. No contact is very important during the first 3 stages. But guess what? After bargaining, that's when you reach depression stage. And the thing is about depression is that you're not depressed. Like, it's called depression stage because you will be feeling sad. You will have low mood. It's you finally facing the emotions of the sadness and the grief and the pain and the fact that the relationship is no longer there. And you need to deal with that now. And it's you realizing like, damn, I lost them. I no longer have them. And I'm gonna be alone, or I'm gonna be with new people. And that person meant a lot to me, or I like them so much and they're no longer there. If you were in a toxic relationship, because I've been through that, then you're also dealing with, how could they do this to me? Here's a better question. Why did I allow this to happen to me? I can't believe I accepted all of this. And that's what depression is. Again, it can look different. Personally, from what I see with a lot of people, even with myself, is that during that stage, you might be more at home, more alone, trying to face the pain, maybe listening to sad music, just not feeling too well. You don't want to do anything. You have this low energy. You're sleeping a lot. And then for other people, it can look like, no, they have a normal life, but you don't feel like they're as engaged. You feel they're a bit disconnected. Like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm not feeling too well. But once you face that pain and that grief, which again can take few weeks or few months depending on it, I feel like the depression stage for me personally, it's the longest because it's me finally like moving towards accepting that it no longer exists. That relationship is just never gonna happen. And as you go through the depression stage, I still remember asking myself, when will I enter acceptance, which is stage 5? How will I know I entered acceptance? Funny enough, after a while, I remember just sitting with myself and I'm like, I'm not as sad or like in the low mood that I was in compared to a few weeks ago. But now, again, I'm not happy. And that's the thing. Acceptance is not happiness. Don't mix them both. You still feel like, you lost that person. It's sad. But at the same time, life moves on. It's okay. I can go through this. You start to have hope. And I think that's where acceptance is synonyms with hope rather than with happiness. You will still think about that person, maybe not as often as before. So you might think of them every few days rather than every day. But you start to have this glimpse of hope of things are going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And I'm going to find someone better. And if I don't, that's okay. And then happiness happens afterwards. So like, it's okay to reach acceptance stage and not be happy. Because again, you're still dealing with the grief and the loss. Happiness happens with time. When you go like, you know what? I did lose them. I wish them all the best. And now I'm at peace and I'm happy. And then, you start meeting new people and you might meet someone else and you realize, damn, like I can't believe I was sad that I lost such a person. Why should you know these stages? Well, because first of all, you can pinpoint those stages. So I remember after my last long-term relationship, and even when I date people, I catch myself going through these stages. And I always tell myself like, okay, I'm going through denial. I'm going now through anger. I'm going now through bargaining. And I understand what I'm going through and how I can support myself during these times. Second, by knowing which stage you are in, you can use the right tools to help you grieve. So for example, during denial, if you want to pass that stage, then you might start journaling, because in that way you're expressing your emotions. And once you start to express your emotions better during the first stages, you're slowly pushing yourself towards dealing with the emotions by realizing that they're there instead of avoiding them. So you might choose journaling. For me, when I'm angry and when I'm in that stage, I write a letter to that person. And I just write down all the things that I'm thinking of. And then I don't send it. But it's a way for me to process that anger. And then during the bargaining stage, you might use the tool of blocking to help, which I did that I think 2 months ago. And I'll tell you, I don't need to block that person for the rest of my life. But during that stage, it was crucial for me. So I avoid stalking. I avoid the hope of what if they end up talking to me. And I just focus on, you know what? This is the end. This is what happened, and I need to accept it. And then during depression, you might use the tools of speaking to other people, where again, you express how you feel to your friends and your family. And that way you don't feel as alone during depression. And lastly, it's important because you can use it for future use. So the next time you're going through a breakup, the next time you lose someone, or you're dealing with the death of a loved one, then you understand yourself better. And you understand what's going to help you during each stage. There's no miracle way to move on from someone that meant a lot to you. There's just time to support you, and then you yourself to connect to yourself and deal with the emotions and focus on what matters to you and what's important for you and your worth, because you are worthy. If that thing was not working for you, whether it's them leaving you, you deserve someone that wants you, or you leaving them, you deserve someone that you want to be with, then that's what matters. You matter. And now here's some tips to help you through the 5 stages. 1, connect to yourself and schedule me time. That's very important. After you go through that breakup, you will keep thinking of that person, but don't forget that there's another person in that relationship that needs some care and attention, and that's you. Because it's your responsibility to take care of yourself. And I personally always recommend me time, which is at least giving yourself 1 hour, 2 hours a day to be there for yourself. Whether you choose to cry, you choose to talk to a friend and rant, you choose to do some self-care, you choose to go for a walk, exercise, whatever you choose to do in your me time, you're doing it for yourself to help you feel better during those stages. Second of all, don't rush into relationships. And I'm talking about rebounds. Because here's the thing. I know people say, if you want to get over someone, you got to get under someone else. Here's the thing. When you get under someone else, you're avoiding yourself from getting over someone. That's how rebounds work. And I'll tell you, most of the times they don't work. I've experienced them myself. They're just another form of avoiding the pain and the grief and dealing with those emotions. So you finally let them go and you move on. Third, don't be alone. Please don't be alone. And that's the thing. I know I said you need to have some me time, but don't be alone most of the times. Surround yourself with family, surround yourself with friends, surround yourself with your colleagues, do activities. Because when you're spending a lot of alone time, then you're going to keep thinking of them and you're going to keep wanting to go back to them so you don't feel alone. Although you are not alone. Give yourself time to process and to be there for yourself, but don't be alone all the time. Fourth, block if needed. And that's the thing. If you can go through no contact without blocking them, then do that. Good for you. You have strong will. A lot of us don't. Even when we have strong will, sometimes it's just the hope of like, oh, what if they reach out? That would be nice. That hope is killed with the block. Because if you block their phone, their social media, all of that, yes, there is a very slim chance that they might reach out from somewhere else. Although I think at that point, if they're doing that, then, I mean, you saw you were blocked. Come on. It's not a sign of weakness to block someone. It's a sign of choosing yourself, which is exactly what you're doing right now. And lastly, for tip number 5, surround yourself with hope. Because here's the thing, that person was a part in your life, but they're not your entire life. And I know a lot of us think when we're going through a breakup, like, oh, my life is destroyed, everything's bad. But that's just one area in our life. That's the romantic area. We still have family. We still have friends. We still have our careers, our studies, our dreams, our hobbies. And those don't really change when we go through a breakup. It's just that one area in our life. So surround yourself with hope in the other areas of your life. Maybe get to meet new friends after a breakup. Focus on your dreams. Focus on your hobbies. Master a new skill. Surround yourself with hope that although one part of your life is not doing the best, the other parts are not doing bad. And you shouldn't ignore them just because one part is going bad, because you still exist. You have an entire life and millions of things to do and think about. You should give it attention because you want to deal with the emotion, not avoid it, so you can move on and let go. But don't forget that other parts of you exist in this life as well, and other responsibilities. It's hard to move on and let go. And time will be your friend. I always say this because the more time passes, then the more you're showing yourself that, oh, okay, I can live life without this person. Even if I forgot how to live alone and do things by myself, with time, you're showing yourself, I can do this by myself, or I can do this with someone else. However, from your side, what would you say is the best advice for moving on? So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more videos to help you on your healing journey. Take care.